Hello YouTube, good afternoon. How are you guys? How is everybody? Y'all know I have to put on my relaxing music. That is very important for me. Anyway, what am I, already a minute in and I'm waiting to start? Give me a second here. Okay. Okay. So yesterday I did not come on live. Like, I like coming on literally every day. And yesterday I did not come on because I did some deep cleaning in my space, in my home. And so I wanted to mention that too, because I was thinking, so recently I've changed the filters in my AC. Obviously, like, the summer months are coming up and the AC is going to be going. So, you know, hopefully people are changing their AC filters. So I recently changed mine. And on top of that, I also decided to deep clean because it's like one of those really deep spring cleanings, because I burn a lot of sage. And so I just want to mention it to you guys. If you guys burn a lot of sage, you're going to want to like wipe down like smoke or residue. It leaves residue in all the smoke leaves residue in your home. So I had to rewash white clothing that I didn't even wear just because it was sitting. I had to rewash my white curtains. The rugs weren't really affected by the smoke so much because they're in the bathroom, but I still I cleaned everything. I pulled things out, wiped behind them, bleached everything, redid the floors, etc. So like, I know you guys are going through a lot, and I know one of the symptoms of this, because I've been through this myself, is that you don't have time to do things like deep cleaning. But I want to push you to please take a day and just go through your house and do all kinds of cleaning. Like, just get a bucket with like bleach and soap and like wipe everything down, sweep everything, mop everything, pull everything out. Your home will feel and smell so fresh. Do your laundry, fold it away that day, tuck it away. And if you have carpets, vacuum them, whatever you have to do. If you have like salt and stuff around your house for protection, sweep it up, dump it so you can change it, whatever it is that you have to do to get your house feeling nice and fresh. If you are saging quite often, you might want to paint your house once a year, once every 2 years. It'll need a new paint, a new coat of paint if it's white paint. What we do is we wipe our walls. We wipe our walls down, but like, you know, I would still recommend something just to deal with wear and tear. So I wanted to mention that as far as like sage smoke goes, like, it's very clear that it's from the sage. And plus it works the filters harder. They have to filter more. Especially if you have pets as well, like, you just want to be breathing fresher air, so you can feel the fresh air quality just by the fact that, you know, you've gone ahead and cleaned. So I want to talk about, today is going to be messages that are gonna be like word for word, okay, like word for word. I don't need to ad lib. I might add something very rarely, but I don't really need to add much to what I have to say. So I'm gonna read this. I'm gonna read this. First of all, before I start, so I pull these beautiful floral cards, and I kind of, the first time I pulled it, it reflected the general mood and purpose of my message. So now I just pull them to see like what the mood is gonna be. But this is Sweet Pea, and it is Blissful Pleasure is the title of the card, and it says, follow your bliss, and the universe will open doors where there were only walls. I want to read that again. Follow your bliss, and the universe will open doors where there were only walls. And that's a quote by Joseph Campbell. Follow your bliss, follow your happiness. I'm going to talk about that later. So that card was accurate for that message. But then I got another message this morning, and so I pulled another card, and these are forget-me-nots. And it says, eternal memories. The best things in life are the people you've loved and the places you've been and the memories you've made along the way. So that's the message connected to the new message, which is the one that I'm going to start with. So I'm talking to TIs, targeted individuals, victims of gang stalking. I don't really care for when trolls here ask me what's gang stalking, but I have been asked what's gang stalking before. And it is something that I'm glad that I got some sort of like very definitive explanation for. So I'm gonna read it. Gang stalking is death while being alive. It destroys one completely while leaving their vessel or their body alive. Killing without touching. Gang stalking is killing you without touching you. I've explained in so many videos. It's crazy because I feel like with my channel, you have to watch the full playlist, and then you'll come to speed with the messages that I'm giving now, because the messages seem to be compounding one on top of the other. So I will end up making reference to other things that I've already explained. So in other videos, I've talked all about how in gang stalking, they attack your chakras. They attack your spiritual body. And by putting a death to you spiritually, they put a death to your life in real life. Because spiritually, every chakra aligns to a certain part of your life. So every chakra that they attack, different parts of your life, they start putting an end to it. And that is essentially what the process of gang stalking is. Gang stalking by itself is not following you around. That is the illusion that you're being followed. But gang stalking is complete. It's a complete assassination of a person spiritually. When you experience gang stalking, you are living hell on earth. You're living in literal hell. You're in hell. Gang stalking is going to hell while on earth. There's no peace, no joy, and no growth. There's no hope, there's no happiness, there's no satisfaction, there's no love. Gang stalking is hell while being on earth. And if you've gotten to hell, that means that you're no longer in the land of the living. And that's why you'll notice a total disconnection from all your family, all your friends, all your loved ones, your past life, the things that you used to love, everything. It's putting someone in hell spiritually while on earth. And to end gang stalking, you need safe passage through hell into the afterlife. And that can only be done with the Holy Mother. You know, there's a quote in the Bible that says, "For the wages of sin is death, and the gift of God is eternal life." For the wages of sin is death, but the gift of God is eternal life. So death is where you pay your karma. Death is where you pay the debts that you owe. And so if you go to hell while you're living, then you're paying off karmic debt while you're alive, to be able to enjoy the afterlife while you're living and not when you cross over. So in a sense, in a very literal sense, gang stalking is a gift. Gang stalking is the gift of eternal life while you're here on earth, should you be able to make it through. There is no such thing as surviving gang stalking. Gang stalking is a rebirth from the womb of our Holy Mother herself. Gang stalking is one part of you dying, so another part of you can, no. Gang stalking is not a one part of you dying. Gang stalking is you dying completely to be born, birthed into a completely new person. Every lesson you learn while being gang stalked is a rite of passage. Every challenge is a gift that brings with it a new skill, a new talent. It's a gift. I encourage you to embrace the experience of gang stalking. Do not fight your emotions. Allow them space and time to recalibrate you, your emotional and spiritual body. They will purge and secrete what they don't need, and they'll demand what they do need. In the same way that your body does that, your spiritual body does the same. So your physical body gets hungry, it gets tired, it tells you when it needs medication, it demands sleep. And the same way your spiritual body will bring up at the appropriate time, in the correct increments, in the correct dosages that you can handle, the trauma that you've experienced, it will purge itself from your spiritual body. It will come up and it will force you to deal with it when you're trying to ignore it. It will come up at the right time when it knows that you are ready to handle it. So you have to listen to your emotions and not fight them, and just literally go along with the process as they come up. As trauma wants to release itself from being trapped inside of you, you're gonna have to forgive a bunch of things, a bunch of people, betrayals. You're gonna have to deal with being alone. You're going to have to birth new parts of yourself that can do things. So let's talk about an ascension. What is a spiritual ascension and what is happening to you right now? Because this is crazy. And I can tell you because I've been through it and I'm on the other side. So what happens? You're a good person. You're a very kind person. That's actually what makes it hard, because you're like, I'm a really good person. So there are supposed to be brownie points for people like me. There are, it's not like you want special treatment, but it's like you should at least be getting a little bit more protection because you're doing things the right way. You're a good person. And you have a good heart and you carry a lot of light, which means that you carry a lot of love. The energy of light is the energy of love. So you carry a lot of that. And if you don't at particular moments, you always have the capacity to. So if the levels don't stay very high, if they kind of go down because of the people that you've been around, you always have the capacity to carry a lot of light. That's what being a good person is. You don't know how you found yourself in this predicament. And I'm just here to tell you, you didn't find yourself in this predicament. You were placed strategically in this predicament. I have another video. I talk about dormant cells, which are basically sleeping agents, cells of agents that are asleep. Maybe we can call them spies, maybe we can call whatever, but they're asleep. They don't know that they're agents. They haven't been activated. In order to do that, you just need to train someone to do their job, but not tell them that they're being trained, and most certainly not tell them who they are. So it's like, what kind of skills does a spy need? Well, a spy needs to know how to be very friendly and get along with people. A spy needs to be very sophisticated, to be in very well-groomed environments with maybe political figures, wealthy people, influential people. A spy needs to be intelligent because they need to speak that language and they need to be able to pick up information very quickly, etc., etc. So you are put in situations that will strategically train you and give you the skills you need to get through gang stalking. So environments that test your patience, environments that put you under high levels of attack without you turning dark, without you losing your divinity, environments with people that are evil, are evil. So you're trained, but you don't know you're being trained. So you think you've had a hard life and you don't know why things have always been like this. You don't get along with family. You're not very close to a lot of people. You get close to people and then it doesn't work. And it's one thing all those years, all those times you said, well, those people, something was probably wrong with them. They were like bad people or whatever. But you know about those specific times where you had a good friend that was a good person, and then it just broke apart for some nonsense reason that makes no sense. Either they pulled away from you or you pulled away from them or something happened. It was weird and it was always happening. Always. And then you got used to just saying, you know what? I don't think this is for me. I'm going to be by myself. I don't think this friendship thing, relationship thing, it doesn't make sense for me. And so that was that. You learned to be alone and you continued learning lessons over and over. And then when you learned your final lesson, gang stalking started. It started right when you got a taste of heaven on earth. You got a tiny taste. It could have been, okay, I'll tell you my story. For me, it was right when I fell in love, real love. I was going to have the family that I always wanted. I ranked up in my career. It was my breakout year. I got stores in malls. My little business was going into a bigger business. Wealth was coming, money was coming. And I got my dream house, the house I had been saving like 12 years to get to, buying and selling and upgrading. That year, that was the year I got gang stalked. And that was the year where I had in me the largest capacity to love, so I could connect to God. My relationship with God got deeper. But that was also the year I was ripe for picking. These people who are destiny hunters, they hunt in packs, these witches who are possessed by lower entities, found me and they were like, oh, it's the business. We need the business. It's ripe for the picking. We need the business. And so that was one of their motivations. And then they dug deeper and they're like, oh, we need the relationship too. We need this, we need that. We want everything this person has, as a matter of fact. We want this person. We want to walk in this person's body, basically. And so an obsession grew over my life. But when they met me, they were probably looking at me like, this is too good to be true. How has no one feasted on this person ever? This is crazy. I was well positioned and I was a sheep. I was wool as white as snow, clean, pure-hearted, with all this abundance, ready for the taking. didn't know who I was, and I was vulnerable. I was vulnerable. So who could resist? They decided this is perfect. This is the perfect sacrifice. And it's ready, and we can see the value in it. She just needs to develop it a little bit more. And God wouldn't let me develop it. God let them stop it. God let them stop it while the universe had a chance to step in to deal with them. So I was kept in place, and my life froze in place for a bit, and there was stagnancy, and there was hell on earth. And I was suffering, and I was paying karmic debts, and I was just going through the worst time that a person can have on earth. Everything came to a standstill. And from that place, I had to learn to lift up my feet, heavy as they were, and start moving. In fact, to be honest, I never stopped moving. I kept going, I kept growing, I kept learning, I kept moving, I kept innovating. And as things were knocked out of my hands, I kept going because I realized I was in hell. And I got guidance from God. And those flames that were meant to consume me, they were consuming the people around me. Because these people trapped themselves in hell with me. But I went to hell to transform. I went to hell to turn into something else. And they went to hell to stay there. They're binded there. So they recognize that they're in hell too, and they want to follow me to the afterlife. And you can see they want to follow me. They're very desperate because they realize the situation in my city that they put themselves into. And so I emerged from hell a dragon and not a sheep. Because the whole time I was a sleeper agent, and there was definitely something inside of me that needed to be birthed. And so what is hell to a dragon? Dragons thrive in hell. I had to birth a new part of me to be able to survive gang stalking. I had to birth my shadow side, the dark side of me. Because I've lived here as the light side of me only. And to live here like that is extremely dangerous. Because people see that on you and they attack you incessantly. Whether these people call themselves your cousin, your brother, your sister, whoever, they see the light. They see that things always work out for you. They see you always growing. They see you always blooming, always moving. And you feel guilty for that, and you try to help them, but you're always going to be attacked. Walking around like that, shining like a light bulb. And people don't even have power switches to plug into. So it's dangerous. Gang stalking is the process, like I said before. Gang stalking is dying while being alive. So these people around you that are gang stalking you, these are not actually people. These are demons spiritually. On the physical plane, you're a person and they're people. Horrible people, barely people. We're using the word people loosely, even here. But spiritually, you're a dragon and these are demons that are attacking you. And you can see it, you can feel it, because when you look at them, you don't see any humanity. You don't see any humanity, you don't see people, you don't see any compassion, you don't see empathy, you don't see anything that you can recognize. You see something that is a little bit scary. When they smile, it's scary. Everything about them is just, there's something, and we all know that. So these are not people. They don't feel like people. They're not people. So they are here to drag you back to hell as the sacrifice. And then the people holding the bodies, the vessels that they inhabit, those people get your abundance or your light. That is what they were told. They were told that if they could sacrifice you, they would get your abundance. Let me explain how that's not possible. Because these entities know that they can't take anything from God, and they know that they don't even remotely have the ranking needed to do something like that. But they're so predictable. Their behavior is so predictable that God has allowed it as an initiation for you to find out who you are. So God allows it to a certain degree, and there are rules. They cannot do certain things to you. They can't physically touch your vessel. They can't do a lot of things. But all of these things are allowed until a certain point, until you're ready to ascend. And how are you ready to ascend? The same way that everything works. You are in a cycle that consists of a particular amount of lessons. And when you learn all your lessons, you get to transform and grow and leave. If you don't learn your lessons, then you have to repeat the cycle. If you make things worse in the cycle, as in pick up more karmic debt in the cycle, so you didn't even learn, you picked up more debt, then you don't get to repeat the cycle. You don't get to stay here. Depending on the amount of karma, but like usually you don't get to stay here. Because if you are the antagonizer in the role of gang stalking, you kind of already shouldn't be here anyway. So given an opportunity like this that you should have learned from and you didn't, and in fact, you're only here because it's set up for you not to learn from it. It's set up for you to play your role as the antagonizer and then stay in hell. Whether you stay in hell while you're alive or whether you go back to hell doesn't matter. It's hell all the same. Anybody who's been gang stalked can tell you what hell on earth feels like. Whether you have a vessel while you're in hell or whether you are in physical hell, it doesn't matter. It's awful. There will be, I'm going to read it again. There will be no peace, no joy, no growth, no happiness, no satisfaction, no love. So that's what it's going to feel like, whether or not you stay here or not. So these people seem to want to surround you. They want to surround every facet of your life. They want to be your friends. They want to be your lovers. They want to be everything, because that's how they're going to enact hell on earth on you. They're going to put themselves, situate themselves in your life and unleash hell in every part of your life. While you're here in hell, you have to learn all the lessons, even though you're on the good side, because everybody has lessons to learn. There are agreements between all parties involved that they will teach you a lesson and that you will learn your lesson and you will grow and transform. You're not being gang stalked just to be gang stalked. You're being gang stalked to grow. So every lesson is just a lesson. It's not something that you have to stop. It's not something where you have to, oh my goodness, why am I going through this? No, you just gotta learn, and you gotta learn what it's telling you. I'll give you an example just this morning. Before I got on live, I had my coffee, and I didn't want to drink coffee before I came on here. But I had to change the water on my altar. And I was gonna do what I always do, which is basically just toss the water and refill it. And something happened, and the coffee cup fell into the sink with all the coffee, and so my coffee fell over and the glasses for my altar, and they all fell in the sink, and I had to like clean up everything. And I thought, oh, what bad luck, what is this? Because I know this message, you know, nobody wants me to give my messages. And then the stove starts acting up, which it always acts up when I'm doing something productive. But really, all of that wasn't just about the bad luck. That was strategically timed because I need to wash the altar bowls already. I needed to wash them. And so that was my indicator. I was like, shoot, now it's in the sink. It got coffee on it. Now I have to wash it. So I went and washed everything else. And that's how it works. That's what gang stalking is in a nutshell. It spills over all your coffee, it spills your bowls into the sink, and now you gotta wash them. Because truth be told, they needed to be washed anyway. And so without being upset, without feeling like I lost anything, because I could just make more coffee, I just washed the bowls, rinsed them, and put them back on the altar. And that was it. And I'm gonna make more coffee because I maybe I would have been tempted to drink some coffee and I shouldn't, not before I come on here anyway. So I say all that to say that is how you're supposed to approach the gang stalking experience, that these trials are for your benefit, that these issues are for your benefit, that you are learning, that you are growing, that you are ascending, that you're growing your wings. You're learning how to sit in fire. You're learning how to breathe fire. And you're learning when to breathe fire, because you cannot just breathe fire everywhere all the time. That is a specific skill for a specific circumstance. So you're learning all about yourself. You're getting strong. And then you rise into the afterlife, into heaven, which is not on fire, which is heaven on earth. So you don't need to be a dragon in heaven. So you go back to being a sheep, the thing that you like to be. You go back to being a sheep. You go back to being kind, loving, a beautiful person who's mastered themselves, who knows boundaries, who knows how to enforce boundaries without breathing fire, who knows when and where it's appropriate to transform into a dragon. That's actually what you like to be. And you come here and you're fertile. And what does fertile mean? You're ready to grow. Whether it's a business, a family, a home, a life, your passion, your gift, your skill. If you are a writer, if you are an editor, a producer, whatever your creative talent is that you're ready to bless the world with, you're ready to burst. Because nobody took your destiny, nobody can take your star. It was an illusion. You now have your star at the end of it, and you're ready to be the star. You're ready to be the star. And part of being the star is being the sheep, because everybody loves sheep. Have you ever seen sheep? Even goats, baby goats, they're so loving. They're so lovable. They always want you to like hug them. They run up to you. They want endless hugs. They're innocent. That's their marker. They're very innocent. And you get to go back to being innocent. But you're not going back to your old life, because you're not your old self. You've combusted. You've combusted into a star. So at this phase, you are the dragon and the sheep. There's a dragon inside of you, but you appear as a sheep in sheep's clothing. And that's perfect. That makes you perfect. That makes you the perfect balance between extreme purity and hell on earth. Something that breathes fire, that is able to bring hell on earth itself. That is the perfect balance. You cannot live one without the other. You need the dragon inside the sheep. The dragon protects the sheep. The dragon inside of you protects the sheep. So you need the dragon. You are not a bad person when you bring out the dragon. You are yourself in your perfection, in perfect balance, walking the middle path between the dragon and the sheep. So you're going to walk around again as the sheep, but this time you're not going to do what you learned to do before, which is to cower, to look down when you're in places you feel intimidated, to not feel good enough, to not feel special, to not feel beautiful, to not feel loved. You're going to strut as the sheep. Your back legs are going to wiggle when you walk. You're going to be loud. You're going to take up space. You're going to give your opinions because they are intelligent and they are beautiful, and you deserve to be seen because you are the star. You are full of light and you're going to walk around in it. everywhere you go, because you're going to be respected now. They're going to respect you. They're not going to try you. Well, some of them still will, but when they do this time, when they do, your eyes are probably going to light up like fire, and you're probably going to breathe out a little bit of smoke. And without having to transform, they're going to know. They're going to know. They're going to see your teeth. They're going to feel it. It's going to feel hot. And they're going to know. And the chances of people passing their place it's going to be less and less and less. As a matter of fact, coming out of gang stalking, you're not going to let people pass their place. They're going to know with the way that you said it the first time that you really mean it. They're going to know. They're going to know because it's going to be easy for you to bring it out all the time. So it's going to take some time. It's going to take some time to get used to when you huff, you might accidentally breathe fire. You huff, you might accidentally breathe fire. It takes a while for it to just be smoke, and that's okay. If somebody gets accidentally burned, messing around, somebody gets accidentally burned, then that's only a lesson to other people to keep their distance. I was listening to something this morning and they were saying something about people are admiring you from afar. I was like, good, stay there. It's not safe, not yet. Let me learn how to manage my fire. And like I said, you'll purge and you'll heal trauma and you'll heal things, but you're not healing alone, and that's the beautiful thing. You're healing with your God. And I do think God for men and women is different, even though we have access to both. I think we have closer relationships to either mother or father, depending on who we are. Mine is definitely with the Holy Mother for sure. And, so for me, she is God, but it's not just only one God. Your fertility is going to lead to either real baby dragons, or maybe just with your voice, you're going to command people into finding their own dragon. Maybe you're gonna come on here like me and tell your story and let people know. Maybe that's what your mission in life is. But either way, you're gonna birth things that give birth to other dragons, even if it's a song, even if it's a piece of literature, even if you build a machine. Whatever you're doing is going to be of service now that you're in your afterlife in heaven. It's going to be of service to God. Whatever you create is of service to God. So that is why it is very important to go through the entire experience of being gang stalked. This is your ascension. Welcome to your spiritual ascension. You are an avenging angel. That's what the dragon and the sheep is. An avenging angel. The sheep is the angel and the dragon is the avenging. What is the avenging angel? So, avenging angels are said to be the first angels of God. They're said that there were 12 of them. And of the 12 of them, that they are fighting angels as well. I wonder why this changed. Oh, now we got rain sounds. Hold on. Music just changed on my laptop. Give me a second here. The water sound is distracting.
No offense, but if you still think stocks, real estate, or crypto are the best passive income investments,
Okay. There are said to be 12 avenging angels, and they are said to be fighting angels who punish wrongdoers. And the highest of them, the chief angel, is said to be, in the Bible, Revelations 12:7-9, is said to be Jesus. Jesus is identified as the angel, the archangel Michael. This is why we don't worship Jesus. Okay? We worship God. And then I got interested in the whole concept of fallen angels. And then I looked up Lucifer. So Lucifer's angel name was Samael. And this was a fallen archangel who was banished from heaven after attempting a failed rebellion against his father, being sent to hell as its new ruler, and later changing his name to Lucifer. He holds deep resentment towards his father for banishing him, as well as his mother for doing nothing to stop it. This is further confirmation to me that I have been fighting Lucifer itself. Because, girl, Lucifer itself, for sure. I feel like when you deal with gang stalkers, you can definitely sense that they are very, very angry people. You can sense that they hate you. It's like they're not doing this just because they don't like you or just because they want what you have. They hate you. And that's why all of this makes perfect sense to me, is just that these people are functioning from a demonic place. And oftentimes when people are being gang stalked, you're thinking to yourself like, I need help. I need God to come save me. I need to get out of this. But it's like, not necessarily. What actually needs to happen is you need to be saving others. That's what you're here for. You're literally here to save other people. So I want to talk about a certain phase of gang stalking, which is not really a phase that I've heard about a lot in my situation. So I guess I had to come here to talk about that part. It is the new beginning. How to approach your new beginning. How to combust your star. So these are the lessons that I am learning about a new beginning. And this is also the reason why we had to learn these lessons in order to get out of this situation. So first of all, we do not build with magic. Anything you build with magic, you lose with magic. Everything you build in some sort of way where you don't do the work, where you don't go through the steps, you lose the same way. You don't use candles, you don't steal, you don't copy, and you don't take any shortcuts. You must build one brick at a time. You must learn what you're doing one at a time. If you build by allowing somebody else to build you, so say for example, if you join these secret societies and they give you the leg up, they give you the skills, they give you the customers, they give you everything, you will lose it in the exact same way. You lose it in the exact same way that you got it. And that's what, a couple of us are going through, is we've been in what we call the matrix. People have built us up, and then now we are losing all of it because they're taking all of it back. So there are 4 rules to building in this environment. Number 1, everything is built in truth. You're not stealing from people. You're not building faulty things. You're not building scams, none of the above. And all of it is built in service to God. No, or you might call it the well-being of society. All of it is adding to society. It's not taking away. You're not promoting any messages of intolerance or hurting people or anything like that. Everything needs to be built well. It needs to be built well is the second point. God does not want to bless anything that is a mess, that you didn't take time to do properly, that you didn't groom properly, that you didn't put together properly. No outside hands are allowed to be in it at all. Nobody is going to help you. There's nobody helping you build this. This is your thing. It's your dream. Unless, of course, God sanctions people, but you're not taking any help. You're building this from scratch, and there will be no, well, because of me's or access for lawsuits that are going to take it from you, or anybody in any way that can impede you from running it or having it because they have a say in it, because they have a hand in it. So no because of me's. There is going to be a correct vibrational match, a correct vibrational match to what you're building. So if you're building something in positivity, if you're building something productive, if you're building something in light, you need to possess all those things. You need to have light. You need to have peace. You need to have happiness. You need to have all of those things in order to build. This is why you got the taste of blood. This is why it happened right when you finally tasted what it was like. So you know what you're going to get. You know what you're going to get. You know how it feels. You got to experience it. So this is what you're fighting for, and this is what you're building. You're building it. Energetically, you need to be a vibrational match. So you have to go back and remember, what was it like before you got gang stalked? Not far before, right before. Right before you realized this was happening, were you your best self? Were you creating something? Were you doing something? Were you good at something? You're going to have to go back to that, and you're going to have to find that vibration to bring it here. That is your energetic soil. That soil consists of happiness, peace, hope, and faith. Hope that you can do it. Faith is your belief in it that keeps you going with it, nurturing it. Peace is a peaceful place for it from which it can grow. And happiness is the fertilizer in that soil. And that is the energetic soil that you need. So while in gang stalking, nothing grows. That's why I called gang stalking the labyrinth. While you're in there, nothing is going to grow. You need to graduate out of there for the growth. This is what people wish to steal from you while you're in gang stalking. They wish to take your happiness, your peace, your hope, and your faith. You have to cultivate these feelings without attaching them to the circumstances that you want to pull out, because you're building and growing the circumstances. So you have to have happiness that doesn't have to do with any circumstances around you. You have to find peace that has nothing to do with the chaos that is around you. You have to have hope that has nothing to do with the hopelessness that you can tap into around you. And you have to have faith that has nothing to do with the disbelief in yourself or the lack of faith around you. You need to cultivate that while you're in here as well, to protect yourself, to protect your aura. You need to create a bubble around yourself. So for me, how did I do that? I chose to feel the feeling. I chose the feeling of feeling beautiful, feeling intelligent, feeling abundant, feeling loving, feeling desired, and feeling applauded. That is the vibration that I reach for. It doesn't have to be the reality. So it's like detaching yourself from the reality of what's going on. So this needs time. You have to stop pressuring it. It needs time, one way or the other, to grow. Even though it seems like what you're building is not growing, it needs time to grow. On this journey, there's no such thing as being behind. But you cannot build when you're connected to darkness. You have to detach from everything. You have to put yourself in isolation in order to combust, in order to grow. And your doubt definitely blocks your progress because it's the opposite of faith. You have to celebrate micro wins. And we want to collect micro wins like infinity stones, because nothing works without your micro wins. What is a micro win? I got up today. I was hopeful today. I deep cleaned my house this weekend. I am happy, I am healthy, I took pictures of myself, I'm returning to who I am. Is that the complete star? No, but the star cannot combust without that. Without me feeling beautiful, I don't want to take pictures of myself. Without me feeling intelligent, I don't want to try something new. I don't trust myself. I need all of these feelings. So this is what you're reaching for, your micro wins. You are no longer building houses in 2 weeks like you did before you got here. It takes time, and you need every day, every second, every step. It's gonna take like 10 years. So why are you rushing it in 6 months? In 3 months? You're forcing it to grow. You can't force seeds to grow. So you gotta take your time and you gotta collect micro wins, one at a time. You gotta give yourself progress reports. How am I doing? Have I come a long way? For me, I've come a long way. I've come the longest way possible, and I'm still going. I broke out. I made it. Solid foundations are what you're building, and they take time, and you need to collect stones, and you need to wait for cement to dry. You need to wait to, you get lessons, you learn them, and then they need to integrate. They need to sink into your bones. That's where you really learn it. And then it needs to be tested, and that's where you put it into use. And that's the completion of the lesson, is after the test, where you're like, oh, that's why I have to do that. So the test is the culmination of the lesson. When you pass the test, that is where we learn if you are ready to move forward or if you need to repeat this cycle. None of what's happening here is to punish you. You don't fold when the teacher rejects the work, and your God is your teacher. This is what you're doing. You're building it, and you're giving it to God to bless. Like, I worked on myself, and now I want to go get a job. Can I go apply for one? And you get there and it's rejected. It's like, that's not the job for you. You can do better. That's too advanced for where you are right now. Or, these are not good people that are there. You're going back to your old ways. So when the teacher rejects the work, we don't reject the teacher. We rework the work. I'm going to repeat. When the teacher rejects the work, we don't reject the teacher. We rework the work, and we present it again. You do your best for God, and you give God the rest to bless, okay? You do your best for God, and you give the rest to God. When God gets this work, whatever it is you want God to bless, your talent, your business, your gift, your family, your love life, whatever it is, and God says, I'm not blessing this, you got to go back and rework it and think, well, why is it not being blessed? It's not because God doesn't want to bless you. It's because we're not blessing this. That's all. Just this. The easy foundations that we are used to because people are actually in control of us, in control of our gifts and what we have, and they can knock it out of our hands. We're not doing that anymore. We're going to build the correct way with a solid foundation, and it's going to take time, and it's going to have to be blessed by God to move forward, because from here on out, you're living on God's mercy. Before, you used to live on people's approval, on the world's approval and stuff like that, and now you're living on God's grace and mercy. You're learning a new way. And of course, I put in a baking analogy here because I'm a baker and that's what I know. One time I tried to use a sports analogy to talk to a guy, and that went so bad because I have no idea anything about sports, and I had to quit. I had to quit mid-analogy. I had no idea what I was talking about. Even I knew it was wrong. Anyway, so let me give you an analogy of how you're gonna live. How you've lived thus far is like you've been buying pre-packaged bread. Like a lot of restaurants do, they buy pre-packaged bread and then they microwave the bread. By the way, that's my stove that no one's touching right now, and I'm the only one home. So you're buying pre-packaged bread like a lot of restaurants do. This is bread that you just put in a particular toaster and it tastes like it's fresh baked. So you're buying this bread that's been, let's call it half cooked. It's full of preservatives and all kinds of crap to like make it taste like fresh baked bread, even though it's not. Okay, to preserve it for a long time, and it's frozen. You've been buying that, and let's say you're buying that at, I don't know, $2.50 a roll, and you turn around and you've been selling it at $5 a roll. So at $5 you make a $2.50 profit, and then you go ahead and you have maybe $2 of expenses between the bakery, the materials, the the rental on the commercial oven, on, and then you take 50 cents home. The 50 cents that you take home, you're paying payments on cars, on homes, all kinds of things. Okay, you're living on credit. So you live this fancy life, and people say, oh, this person owns a bakery. And they think, wow, I want to own a bakery too, because this person has all these fancy things. But these things are expensive. And the factory loves that you have these things because it makes sure that it keeps you coming back to buy more bread. And then one day you decide that you find out that this factory is putting sawdust in the bread, and you cannot live like that, and you do not want to be a part of that, and you don't want to sell it. And I don't know, maybe something happens. They find out that you knew, and they got to get rid of you, because if this bakery talks about the fact that we put sand, sawdust in our dough and chemicals to make it stay, then it's going to put us out of business. So they gang stalk you, and they stop selling you bread, and now you don't know what to do because you have nothing to sell. So it's been a while now, and on top of that, they're gang stalking you. They're showing up, they're gaslighting you in the bakery, they're leaving bad reviews, they're doing all of this stuff, and you don't have bread to sell. So now you can't pay the house at home, you can't pay for the car, you can't pay for the equipment, you lose the bakery, you lose the car, you lose the house, you have nothing. Because they were the ones that gave you everything. And that was the point. That's why they do it like that. But before you lost the car and the house and the bakery, the factory sent their representatives. They sent their real estate agents to say, hey, do you want me to sell your house? They sent their auctioneers to come and buy the oven at rock bottom prices. They waited until the bakery was foreclosing or the house was being foreclosed on, and then they swooped in. And so now the bakery took everything that they felt like they gave you, because they gave you the bread to sell, so they feel like they made you. They don't care about how many hours you work. They don't care about anything that's going on. They just feel like they made you. And they took everything back. You lost everything. You think you lost everything by chance, but you actually lost everything by their hand. They knocked it out of your hand. And so you made it through. You knew that you had something very special. You can bake really well. You got sticky buns, you got bread, you got all kinds of things. And you decide that you're going to continue baking because that is your gift. That's your skill. That's what you know. And that's what you love doing. That's what makes you alive. So you continue baking, and now God says you're going to bake out of your kitchen. You're not going to go rent a location. You're going to bake out of your kitchen. And you're going to do your own marketing, and you're going to do your own this, and you're going to do your own that. And you're going to learn how to bake the bread from scratch. You're not going to be buying bread. You're going to learn how to bake. You're going to learn where to buy flour. You're going to learn what mixtures you want. You might even learn to grind a portion of your own flour. You're going to learn everything step by step by step by step by step, so that you never have to go back and buy a loaf of bread from anyone to sell. And you'll know this, people who bake know that the pizza that cost you $20 costed 50 cents to make. It's 50 cents worth of flour and maybe some labor. Okay, if you're doing it yourself, max $1 to make a pizza. It costs nothing. So now that you're making your own, you learn how to make bread. Now your bakery makes pizza, you make desserts, you make croissants, you make baguettes, you make everything. And now that you learned how to make everything, you don't need anyone. You're not going for a huge location right away until you have the clientele to support it. You're not trying to grow based on anyone else. You're not leasing cars anymore. You're not mortgaging houses anymore. You're taking your time. You're taking your time and you're doing things the right way. This is what the ascension process looks like from start to finish. It's what the ascension process is. It is literally putting a death to your old life completely, keeping your gift, keeping your destiny, keeping your star, and then emerging on the other side and teaching yourself how to build it properly so that you can have your heaven on earth, so that you can fully own outright the bakery that you bake out of, that you know how to bake everything in there. You depend on no one, that you bought the ovens in there cash, or you used an outside oven before you got an indoor one, and actually that became your thing. People pay more and they travel further because they know they're going to get it out of a stone oven outside your location. People pay more for that kind of rustic experience because it tastes different and no one can compete with it, and anybody can buy factory bread anywhere, but your bread is particular. And when you do buy your house, you buy it outright cash. You buy your cars cash. Whatever you do, it belongs to you fully and no one can touch it. That is the reason you are going through your ascension. So, and in some way, your bakery is now of service to God because God was the one that saved you and carried you through, and you learned who you are, and you learned your lessons, and part of your lessons were, well, I can't take bread from people, and I can't trust people because they're putting sawdust in the bread, and I can't just have any realtor sell my house. Maybe I want to learn how to sell my house on my own. Maybe I want to learn this. Maybe I want to learn that. That's the point of an ascension, to ascend into your true self. So now you're not a bakery owner, you're a baker who owns a bakery. That is my message for today. Thank you for tuning in. Please subscribe to the channel. Please like. That helps the channel grow. And leave in the comments and let me know what you think about, what I just said today. If it touched you, if it impacted you. Thank you. Have a great day. And remember, God loves you.